everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kat, and for today we're going to be looking at the first Valentine's Day palette that I have picked up so far for this year, and it's from Makeup Maniacs, and I actually grabbed their bundle instead of just the eyeshadow palette. This is what the palette looks like. It's got a little baby Cupid on it with a rose, and it's the Love Affair 2, and these are what the shades look like on the inside. And it looks like there are a bunch of matte shades. There's 3 metallic shades, and then 2 of those like sort of matte shades, but they have like a little bit of shimmer to them where I never really know like what I should call them. I am super duper intrigued to see what kind of look I am going to come up with today, because it could go either super duper neutral or it could go super duper pink. So I'm kinda, we'll have to see. And then the bundle also included a loose pigment, and this is in the shade Cupid's Arrow, and it's kind of like a shimmery pinkish burnt rose type shade. And then it also includes a multi-chrome highlighter. So this is the Cupid's multi-chrome highlighter, and you can already see gold to pink to kind of purplish. But I really like how you can already see the shift just by me turning it like this. A little bit of green that I'm seeing on there as well, and then it just has a really cute Cupid embossed on there. It's honestly almost cute enough where I'm like, I don't want to mess it up, but I think that's going to be a gorgeous shade. And because I do have the Kaleidos multi-chrome highlighter, I thought it would be kind of fun to swatch both of them just as like a comparison to see which one is a more multi-chromey. So that's just something fun that we're gonna do. And I do have a couple other products from my recent makeup haul video that I'm also going to be testing out today. So for the foundation, we're gonna be using the Marc Jacobs foundation. We're gonna use the Rare Beauty blush, and we're gonna be using a Marc Jacobs lip gloss at the end. So those are going to be the newer products that we're going to be testing out as well. So I think we will start with the eyeshadow palette and then jump into everything else. I think I might end up doing 2 eye looks, just that way we can use the majority of the shades in the palette. And so I'm going to do 1 pinkish purple eye and then 1 neutral eye, so that way we pretty much maximize the number of shades that we're using. And so I will start with the neutral eye first, and I am just applying the shade Send Nudes into my crease first. It's about as pale of a shade as you're gonna get in this palette. Then I'm going to go into the shade Secret and apply that on the inner half of my lid. And Secret is one of those 2 shades that's got that like little bit of shimmer to it. As I'm applying it, it's just applying like a matte. There's not really any shimmer staying on it. Then for the outer half of my eye, I'm going into the shade Check DM. So I think the first metallic shade that I'm going to dip into is going to be the shade Crush, and I'm just going to press that into the inner half of my lid. And then for the outer half, I'm going to go into the shade Hush. For the under eye, I'm going to start off with the shade Do Not Tell, just to get a lighter matte shade on there, and then I will go into the shade Sins on top of that. So far, it's okay. It's not like anything where I feel like I would really be writing home about it so far. It's kind of like, I kind of was expecting a little bit more pigment than this. I think the metallics are okay, but like none of this eye look is really like jumping out at me as something so far where I'm super duper impressed, and especially this green shade. I had high hopes that it was going to be a bit more than what it is, and so I'm really trying to pack it on to get some more pigment. And it's just kind of not really doing a ton for me. I'm gonna do the pink eye next and see kind of how that ends up looking. And then I'm kind of wondering, because there's not really a particularly good shade in this palette as like an inner corner highlight, and so I might end up trying that multi-chrome highlighter to see if that might work. And I might also, on the pink eye portion, I'm gonna use the loose pigment on that one as well. Okay, I think that for the pink portion, I'm gonna start off just by coating my entire lid with the shade To and From, which is that really nice hot pink shade. I can definitely say that the pink shade is way more pigmented than any of the neutral shades with how they were showing up. So this is already off to a way better start. So I think to deepen it up, I think we'll use Excuses, and I will mix that with just a little bit of To and From kind of together. I think to start on the inner half of the lid, I'm going to dip into the shade Cherub. I'm noticing like the tiniest bit of sparkle with that, but not like a ton. Okay, so I think I'm going to go into this loose powder shade, see what that does for me. Well, that's definitely a bit more of the metallic that I was looking for. Nice bit of shimmer on there. And I am just going in with a dry brush. I'm not doing any kind of mixing liquid or anything like that. Okay, and then I think for the under eye, I am going to use the two kind of purplish shades. So we're gonna start off on the inner half with the shade Gifts. And then for the back half, we're gonna go into the shade Sheet. Well, so the good news so far is that there has been minimal fallout, and so that's at least a nice thing. And I did go in with fairly fluffy brushes, but this could be better. Like, I'm not super duper happy with how this is turning out so far. I'm gonna go ahead and line my eyes and throw on some mascara, and then we'll do the rest of my face and see if maybe there's something else that looks good. All right, so now I have mascara and liner on as well, and I tried to add like a little bit more color into it. And so for this eye, I added a yellow liner, and then for this eye, I added blue. But I gotta be honest, I'm not hugely impressed with the quality of the shades in this palette. I think the color story is very pretty and, you know, has a lot of good potential, and I think it's a fun palette for Valentine's Day, but I just don't think that the shades packed nearly as much of a punch as I would have liked. I mean, the pink shade was nice and pigmented, but like these neutral shades, this is the most subdued neutral eye that I've done in a hot minute. Like, I'm not particularly impressed, and especially this green shade, like, even swatching it, like, it's just kind of coming off as like a very muted brown. And so I'm like, I'm super duper confused, because in the palette it looks like it would be a really nice olive green, and it is just not, like, even on my finger, it's not giving me any of that. However, we do still have the highlighter to test out. So I'm going to reserve judgment on everything completely until we have tested that out. But first, let's go ahead and jump into the Marc Jacobs foundation. I do like the bottle. I think it's like pill shaped, but it's a really nice glass. It's nice and heavy. And then you have this like doodad thing on the top, and you just unscrew it, and it is this type of weird, like, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. So that's gonna be interesting. I think I'm just gonna dab it onto my hand. All right. Oh, this shade is too dark. Oh, okay. Off to a great start today. And this is super duper matte. I love looking like I have jaundice. That's exactly what I'm going for. The joys of being in a pandemic where you can't shade match yourself properly. At least it was on sale, so, you know, there's that. This looks freaking I look orange. To quote Raw Beauty Christie, am I orange? Is this orange? So essentially, as I am taking a look at this, I'm not gonna judge it based on the color because obviously it's not my shade. So I'm just gonna have to judge based on, like, does it look like it's getting patchy anywhere, or is it resting nicely on my skin? Like, that's gonna kind of be the only things that I can judge it on. Okay, this is looking slightly better, but it's still pretty rough. But I'm gonna do my brows and my bronzer real quick. Do I even need bronzer? This is like 10 shades too dark for me. I'm gonna do eyebrows and bronzer, and then we'll come back to test out the Rare Beauty blush and take a look at the highlighter and test out the lip. Okay, so I have my face on, and honestly, I feel like the pink eye is kind of, you know, I'm warming up to it a little bit, but the neutral eye still, to me, like, it's fine, but it definitely, like, it's not doing anything for me, and that has nothing to do with, like, whether I like neutral eyes or not, because I've had neutral eye looks that I love. And so it's just, to me, it's not really, like, there's nothing standing out on it that's really, like, getting me. But I think the pink shades are actually pretty nice. I kind of wish that the purple on the portion underneath my eye was a little bit more purple. In the pan, again, it's looking very, very purple. And then on my eye, it's just blending out with all of the pink and the red. And so I kind of wish that this shade and this shade were a bit more purple, just to give it some more dimension. But let's go ahead and jump into the Rare Beauty blush next. This is the shade that I have, just kind of a nice coral peachy pink shade, and it is called Nearly Apricot. And so I'm gonna start by testing it with my fingers to see if that's the best way to go about. Ooh, that is very creamy. I'm gonna just lightly dab that onto my cheek. Just a nice light flush. Even though the majority of the Rare Beauty stuff I was not a huge fan of, I had done a video on the initial release that Selena Gomez had, and it was not great. But the blushes I did like. I think her formula is pretty good. This is kind of an interesting one because it's very nice and buildable while still, like, just being a lighter blush, which I think is kind of fixing the problem that her liquid blush was with the initial release. Because with that one, you literally, like, half of a dab and it was like, bam, just clown cheeks, right? Whereas with this one, this is blending out into a really, really nice flush. Like, and it's kind of helping a little bit with the matte formula of the foundation, that it's kind of bringing a little bit of the dewiness back to my skin. And so I am legitimately really liking this. I think this is a beautiful shade of blush, very, very nice and complimentary. And I really, again, I like how much of a buildable formula this is. Yeah, it's definitely adding a nice little bit of a dewiness back to my skin. I really, really like this. I think that this blush is very, very nice. This just brought everything back. This makes me feel so much better about how my face is looking right now. So I am super duper happy about this one. Finally, a home run from Rare Beauty, because I love Selena Gomez. The fact that that first launch just did not go well at all for me was heartbreaking. And so I am super duper excited that this went so well. And this packaging is just also really, really cute. This light pink with the gold text on there. Just, Love it. So, so happy. Okay, we have a winner from Mirror Beauty. All right, let's get into these two highlighters, and I can actually just toss on the Marc Jacobs lip before we do that real quick, just to test this out. This looked like a cute Valentine's Day shade to me, so I thought I would give it a go. And it's just a nice light pink with a little bit of some gold sparkle, and it does have that kind of peppermint feel to it. Yeah, it's just a nice lightweight formula, definitely minty, without like any of that tingling sensation that you get with some other lip plumping formulas. So you just get that a little bit of like a smell, like a pepperminty smell, but that's kind of it. And my lips are super duper chapped, so they're not looking great, but this formula is really, really nice, very lightweight. It's not super sticky at all, and it doesn't feel thick or heavy on your lips at all. Just a really nice lightweight formula. But we are going to jump into this highlighter next, because I am super duper excited to see how this, this multi-chrome highlighter checks out. Okay, so we are going to swatch the Makeup Maniacs highlighter first. I love how that's showing up on camera. That just makes me so happy. Because so many times, like, the multi-chrome shifts won't show up. So it's really nice that this one will. So it's definitely a green to gold to pink is what I am seeing. So there's the pink, the gold, a little bit of the green at the end there. And I don't want to mess it up. It looks so nice. We're gonna mess it up. Here we go. That is very nice and pigmented. Seeing the pink on camera, but like when I look at it, all I'm seeing is like a goldish green. I like how when I tilt my hand like this, it almost disappears. So I am going to apply this to my face as my highlighter. It's a very light glow. So that's with me using my finger, and then I am going to use a brush for the other side just to see if that makes a difference. It does seem like the brush side is a bit more intense than the non-brush side, so I'm just going to even those guys out real quick. So I am going to swatch the Kaleidos highlighter next and see what that looks like next to this guy. Ooh, okay. So I definitely think, okay, that is very different how that's looking on there. So it looks like the Kaleidos one to me has a bit of a lighter base. The Makeup Maniacs one is a bit darker. And the shifts to me are coming across different. So this one definitely goes pink, gold, green. And as you're looking at it, like you're just getting one color. Whereas with the Kaleidos one, as I look at it, I'm kind of getting like a bunch of different shades, and it's more of like a green to gold to orange to then pink with how it's shifting on there. So you can see kind of the difference on there with those shifts. How the Kaleidos one is just many different colors kind of all together, and then this guy very clearly goes from one solid shade to the next shade. So that's super interesting how they're so different from each other, and yet I really like both of them. I think that they are super duper pretty. I love that they're unique. I think that's awesome. So not dupes for each other, that is for sure. I definitely think that this highlighter is worth the cost. I think it's very nice. It's freaking huge. This pan versus, let me show you the size difference on here between these two pans. Right here. This is the size difference. You're getting almost double what you would get in a Kaleidos highlighter with this Makeup Maniacs one. But they are very different from each other, so I think both of them are worth it. But I'm not upset about the Makeup Maniacs one at all. So I think my final thoughts on everything: love the lip product, love the highlighter, freaking love the blush, absolutely Really nice blush. The foundation is still looking nice. It's not cakey, and I definitely think after adding that blush in, it added the dewiness that I needed so that it's not quite so much of a matte shade, and I think it's kind of blended into my skin a little bit nicer to where with that lighter concealer that I blended in, I think overall it's looking much nicer. So I think that the foundation at the end of the day is definitely a good matte foundation. It is not creasy, it is not heavy on the skin, great foundation formula. And so I think all that I would need to do is get a shade that's probably at least 2 shades lighter and has a bit more of a pink undertone rather than a yellow undertone. I think that's the only shift that I need. I think as far as the eyeshadow palette goes, I don't mind the pink eye look. I think that one's kind of pretty and the pigment is there. Neutral eye, we know I'm not hugely impressed with it. I think it's very lackluster as far as neutral eyes go. And so I think overall that the palette, probably I wouldn't recommend. If you like these shades, there are plenty of other eyeshadow palettes out there that have these shades and they are much nicer. Like this greenish grunge shade, I can think of like several palettes that I have that make that look so much nicer. Probably the top one would be the Tiny Marvels palette from Sydney Grace. And as far as like pinks and purples and neutrals, just I can't even begin with listing off other palettes that have it nicer. So I wouldn't recommend the palette. I also probably, like, at the end of the day, this loose pigment is meh. It's not awesome, and I have other loose pigments that are far better. So I think out of the entire Valentine's bundle, the only thing that I would really say is worth it is the highlighter. 100% would definitely recommend the highlighter. It's a huge pan, the quality is really, really nice, but that's really kind of out of that group of products, the only one that I would recommend. I just don't think that the rest of it is worth it. That was my video on just my first round of Valentine's Day products. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you did not. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my thoughts. If you disagree, if you've tried any of these products and you've had a different experience, by all means let me know. If there are other Valentine's Day products out there that you guys have already seen that you would want for me to review for you, let me know. I'd be more than happy to. And yeah, if you made it to the end of the video and you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. Join my family here on YouTube. We do a whole lot of colorful makeup usually. And I do a ton of talking about smaller and larger indie brands, but that was my first Valentine's Day video of the year, and you guys just go have a good one.